All right, welcome to the Entrepreneur Insider Secrets podcast. Excited to be spending time with you again, talking about things that are important to you in growing your business. Today, we're going to be talking about what would it look like if you had to start over? What would it look like if you had to hit the reset button and go back to the beginning? What would be the things that you need to do? So we're going to be looking at it, and we're calling this the first 90 days, what to focus on when you're starting from scratch. Now, that may be you truly starting over from scratch, or you just deciding you want to do something different. Either way, and I also would say hold the 90-day time frame a little bit loosely. This is less about the time and more about the steps. So what I would say is don't worry so much about this should all be done in month one or this should all be done in month two. It takes as long as it takes. And every individual is different and every circumstance is different. For some of you, you may know exactly how to do some of these things and where you want to go with some of them already. So it won't take you very long. For others, it may take a bit to ponder, to work through, to decide, to come up with answers for some of these questions that you just don't know yet. So this is why I say just give yourself a little bit of grace, give yourself a little bit of time, because you're going to need it. You're going to need the flexibility. You're going to need the ability to kind of work through it at the pace that makes sense for you. Now, so there's what we're going to do in all this is we want to simplify things down. We want to narrow the task list, because what happens too often is there's so many things out there. There's so many shiny objects. There's so many just, competing things that people are telling you to do. You should do this. You should do that. Oh, there's a new AI tool, or there's a new this, or there's a new that. Come chase after this thing. And at the end of the day, it turns into a lot of noise, and you end up chasing all these ideas, chasing all these things, and you don't know exactly what you should do. You don't know exactly what's the right step to take. So we're going to kind of bring it back down to basics. Instead of letting things get confusing with all the, oh, I should chase this. Oh, that could be a moneymaker. Oh, that could be something. We're going to boil it down to what is really essential. What do you really need to do? What are the things that you really are truly important and you need to focus on? Because here's the thing. Today, it's this new tool. Tomorrow, it'll be something else. And tomorrow, you'll get another email from another marketer talking about how they have the answer to everything that you need. Okay. They're good at writing copy. I'll give them that. They're good at telling stories. They're good at getting you to believe that they have the answer that's going to be everything that you need. If you just buy their thing, they're good at it. They're absolutely good at it. But what actually works? What actually matters? What is actually important to you in your journey so that you can be successful? That's what we're going to come back down to. We're going to reduce the noise. We're going to pull back from all the marketing hype. And we're going to go, what is actually important for you to succeed? So the first thing that I want to talk about today is your month one, the first month when you're just getting started, when everything you burn down the past, so to speak, and you're starting over fresh and you're doing something brand new. What do you do first? Well, the first month that we're going to call it, or for, again, their first step, depending on how fast you can work through this, is clarity. The first thing that you need is clarity. And clarity comes in three things. You need to be clear about who are you going to serve. Who's your target audience? Who are the people that you're trying to help? Because, again, a business, despite all the, all the noise, all the marketing, all the hype, click a few magic buttons and the money will come pouring in. Sure. At the end of the day, a business is about helping people solve problems. Businesses do one of two functions. It doesn't matter what field they're in. It doesn't matter what industry, what niche, what part of the world they work in. A business is designed to do one of two things. It's designed to help somebody solve a problem or to help someone meet a goal, which is not having the goal met is a form of a problem. But I tend to view it as a more positive, negative type distinction. But at the end of the day, people have things that are not going well for them, things that have problems. When I get, if I have a flat tire on a car, I'm looking for a mechanic shop, someplace that can help repair the tire. If I'm having problems with, marketing, I'm looking for advice from a marketer that tells me how to market better. If I'm having issues with a relationship with somebody, I want to talk to somebody who can provide good counsel, who can provide good wisdom. I have a problem. I have a goal that I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to get back to my driving my car. Trying to build a successful business, trying to have a healthy relationship with this individual. And there's things in the way. There's problems in the way that are keeping me from getting there, that I'm not able to do what it is that I want to do. So that's the first thing you have to understand. Who is the person you're trying to serve? You need to be able to describe them. Who are they? And it's one of those, we always tell people it's a healthy exercise for you to create a little avatar for them. And you can even name them. Maybe my target customer is Sally. And Sally lives in suburban Denver. And she's married with 2 kids. And she's very smart. She's very talented. And she's been working for the past 15 years for a company. And she's just tired of it. She knows that she has a lot more. She has a lot more in her. She has a lot more that she can do with her life. She's being very much capped in her job. They're not letting her advance. They're not letting her grow. They're not letting her earn what she knows that she's capable of, because they have her locked into a role. They have her locked into a position, and she's stuck. And so she feels like she's dying slowly but surely. She feels like she's not getting where she needs to go in life because she's stuck. And so she's looking to start her own business. She's looking to start her own thing. She wants to have the freedom. She wants to have the control. She wants to be able to do the work that she loves doing, not the work that her boss threw on her desk. She wants to be able to do the things that give her meaning in her own life. And she knows she has gifts. She knows she has talents. It's just a matter of, how do I turn those gifts and talents and passions and desires that I have to work in this way into income? You see how I've created an image of somebody who would be a perfect client for Design Launch Grow. I just described her and put her out there in a scenario. So now when I'm thinking about the next steps, when I'm thinking about what do I do next, I have a good foundation. I have a very good foundation of who am I trying to help? Who am I trying to work with? And that doesn't mean I only serve women or I only help people that live in Colorado. No, but this is a general framework. And I've created a story around this fictional individual that helps me understand this is kind of what I'm going for. This type of person, this type of situation, somebody who wants more from life, somebody who wants to do something more than what they've achieved so far, who knows they have more in the tank, but they just haven't been able to achieve it, but they need help figuring out how to do the business thing. Okay. You have the talent, you have the gift, you have the ability to help people. You just don't know how to create a business around it. That's the problem. That's what I can help you with. So, number 1, get really clear on who you serve. And then, number 2, the thing of clarity that you need to be going for is, what problem are you solving? Well, as I described to you when I was going through my little description here, the problem that I'm helping them solve is they want to go off on their own. They want to create their own business. They want to become an entrepreneur. They don't want to be locked in working for their boss anymore. They don't want to be stuck sitting here doing what someone else dictated them to do. And maybe they want to earn what they feel like they're capable of. I had that experience. I worked for a bank for a number of years, and when I remember very clearly one time I went in because we do annual reviews, which was the custom, and you kind of get graded, quote unquote, as an employee to find out whether or not you are actually doing a good job by your superior. And I remember going in for a review one time, and my boss, the person I was reporting to, said, well, I had to, I'm going to be really honest with you about your review. He goes, this was not the first review that I gave you, that I wrote up for you. I was like, okay, what do you mean? He goes, I actually submitted a review for you that was better than this, but it got rejected. And so I had to rewrite your review and write down your performance. And I went, what? What do you mean? Well, what do you mean you had to write down my performance? He goes, well, if I would have graded you honestly, you would have been eligible to receive too high of a raise. And we're not allowed to give raises out that high. So I had to write down your performance so that your raise would be back in the 2% level, which is all we're allowed to give. But I just want you to know that I think you're doing better than what's actually showing up on the paper. Okay, those are the scenarios where when you work for somebody like that, when you're in a company where you learn to feel completely undervalued, where you feel like, what's the point? I overachieved. I worked so hard. I did all these things, and yet here I am. I'm beating my head into a ceiling that I'm never going to get past because they're never going to let me advance. Because, well, our budget says you can only get a 2% raise, even though you did better than that on a performance basis where you're not allowed to have it. Great. So why am I trying? Why am I trying? There's no point. But you see, those create those types of events, because I know I'm not the only one who's gone through something like that. There are countless other people who have their own version of that type of story. But that creates problems that you realize, and you come to grips with the fact that I'm never going to be able to achieve my potential while I'm here. I'm never going to be able to become the person I know I could become here. That I'm always going to be landlocked. I'm never going to be able to go out and explore and discover who I really am. So to do that, I need to do something else. I need to go out and I need to stretch myself. I need to go out and I need to push myself into the world where I grow, where I can become something more. And to do that means I need to have control. To do that means I need to be able to declare my own destiny. I need to take control of what it is that I'm doing. And that means I need to be an entrepreneur. You see how that's the problem. That's the problem that I'm solving as now in the guy who runs Design Launch Grow. That's the problem that I'm solving. The people who realize they want something more in life. The people who realize that they're meant for something more. And they're never going to achieve it as long as someone else is in control of their future. So they want to start their own business, and they know how. They know what they want, but they don't know how to do it. So they need someone to guide them. They need someone to walk with them. They need someone to show them the way. Now, once we know that, now we have clarity on who is this person. We have clarity on what the problem is that we're going to help them solve. Then the only other thing left on the board for us to get clarity on is what do we want to offer to do for them? So that becomes the issue of like, okay, so how are we going to offer to solve this problem for them? Which again, the better you understand your target customer, the target audience that you're trying to reach, the better you understand who they are, the better you know how to serve them, the better you know how to solve their problem, the more you know what to do to fix it for them. So that's the third thing you need to get clarity on. So month one needs to be getting clear. You need to be able to set the architecture of what it is that you're doing, set the framework. Because before you move forward, you have to have a clear direction. And that clear direction is, who do you serve? What problem are you solving? And how do you solve that problem? What are you going to do? For us, we created all sorts of resources, we created all sorts of training, and we provide coaching. We help people and we walk with them through the journey so that they can have somebody who's a trusted guide, who's an experienced helper, who's an experienced person who's had success, guide them to their own successful journey. Okay, now we have a plan. Now we have something to talk about. Now we actually have something to bring to the market. And again, for some of you, you may already know all those answers. It may not take you 30 days to put that together. For others of you, that may be a big question, and that may take longer than 30 days to figure out. It really depends on your circumstances and your situation. How much do you have to start with? Do you have a clue already about what you want to do? Do you have an idea already developed? Or is this really a new ground for you? If it's completely new ground, then this is probably going to take a little bit of time. A little bit of time for you to work through, a little bit of time for you to pull ideas together in order to be able to get this figured out. But before you march forward, because I see too often people come up with what they think is just a money-making idea, and then they start promoting it, and then a few weeks later they realize that didn't work, so they're promoting something completely different. Yeah, everybody knows at that point that you're not actually there to help anybody. You're just there to try and get into people's wallets. So, in that point, people just stop listening to you. People stop paying attention to you. People stop caring. They don't do anything anymore. They're not interested. They're not interested in listening. They're not interested in hearing what you have to say because they know you're just simply selling. So that is the first month. Setting your intention, setting the clarity, setting the goals, that what it is that you're actually going to do. You have to set the framework before you start building the business. So month 1 is clarity. Month 2 then becomes visibility. You want to start showing up in the world because now you know who you're going to serve. Now you know the problem that you're going to solve, and you know you have what you're going to do to help them solve it. So now you got to be out there so people can find you. You have to be visible. And again, this is one of those things where it can be overwhelming. It can be a lot for people because they start trying to figure out, like, what in the world am I going to do about this? What in the world am I going to do about that? There's so many platforms. There's so many places to show up. How am I going to be on all of them? And it's overwhelming. And people just get like, well, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to put out there. I've said the 3 things that I wanted to say, and now what? Now what am I going to say? And they get stuck and they don't know what to talk about. So you need to start putting some things out there. You need to start making yourself known. People need to know that you exist. People need to start knowing that you are available. You are a solution for them. So you need to start talking their language. You need to start communicating with them, and you need to do so strategically. And here's some of the things that I would share. A lot of times people think they overthink this stuff. They think that I have to be insightful in every post. Every post has to be something meaningful. And social media is not built on that. I would argue that social media is built on stupid, to be honest with you. Social media is built on a lot of nonsense. Because what is getting shared on social media on a given day? Somebody, posted a picture of themselves doing something really stupid, or somebody created drama. So much of it is just a soap opera. And so I've heard someone that I know say this before. You can literally post anything. It's just post anything and everything that you decide you want. Now, with all that being said, I think it is important to have a little bit of a filter on some of this, because it's one thing to create drama, and you can get some followers by creating lots of drama. There's the old saying, if you want people to come watch you, pour gasoline on yourself and set yourself on fire. Yeah, you'll get a lot of attention. You get a lot of people to come watch you. You get a lot of people to pay attention to you for a short period of time. And then what? You now have a mess, and you've got skin burns, and you got all sorts of other problems. So there's a point here where you have to not overthink it. And with AI, there's tools out there that you can really start to use and learn. So you can take like things you've written in the past. You can take things that you have spoken in the past, and you can create, a transcript from it. And if you have enough content, you can start having AI use your content as a basis, and then start producing, different social media posts based on all the content that you've already created and shared. There are things that, like I can do with all these podcast episodes now, is I could take the text, I can just convert all these recordings into text and have AI pull things from all these recordings and create social media posts from them. And so what ends up happening is, by doing this, starting to show up, starting to have a presence, people start becoming aware of your existence. They start becoming aware of what you're doing and what you're about, and that you're able to solve a problem that they have. So people who are having the problem that they're having in life find you, and they start going, this is kind of interesting. This person might be able to help me. This person might be able to, they might have something that I need. They might have something that's useful to me. And I like their content. It's encouraging. It's uplifting. It's making me, feel better about my life. And they're sharing some insightful ideas. Again, not everything needs to be deep. Not everything needs to be significant. You just need to start connecting with people. And then as you do that, people are going to start commenting. People are going to start reaching out. They're going to message you, and you're going to get things that starts creating connection with people. And you can then even start having conversations that come out of that, and start talking to people about what it is that you actually do. And I know many people out there, that's how they build their business. That's how they get clients. They're posting online about all this different stuff. They're talking about the things that they do. And then people go out and, hey, do you think you could help me? Do you think you could do this for me? Could you help me with this thing? Sure. And they get clients. So they start showing up. They're visible. They're people that are now seeing them. People are now engaging with them. And then, people want to connect and find out can you help me? And so once you have that in place, now you have you have clarity about who you are, who you're serving, what problem you're solving, and how you're going to kind of do it. You're showing up online. Now the third thing is, the month 3 would be, what is the actual offer that you're going to make? Because now it needs to start getting a lot more specific. Now you need to sit down and say, okay, what specifically am I going to do for these people? What specifically am I going to help them with? What are the details of how this offer looks? And this is honestly where the rubber really meets the road, to be honest with you. The rubber meets the road when you can create an offer in such a way that the person on the other side would say, I would feel stupid for saying no. I would feel, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for. The terms, the price, everything it's worth it. I would do this. This is absolutely worth my time, worth my money. And you make an offer in such a way that the people just go, wow, this is amazing. I would absolutely pay to do this. I would absolutely pay to hire you to help me with this, because this is amazing. And you are going to make my life a lot easier. In those scenarios, you now have an offer that people want. Now, the thing you have to keep in mind is, making offers is a little bit of a science. There are things that you need to have in there, and I'm not going to take all the time. I'll save that for a different episode. But creating an offer in such a way that causes people to want to buy is an art form. And there is science behind it. And there are things that need to be in there. There are principles that need to be included so that people feel like, wow, that's interesting, but I don't think I'm going to do it now. I'll do it later. No, this needs to be something that people would do to, because it needs to be something that people look at and go, wow, I would be crazy if I said no. Because I really believe that you can help me solve my problem. You have exactly what I need to solve my problem. You have a way of doing it that I fully believe in. And you've got like guarantees and promises in here so that I feel safe that even if it doesn't work out, I'm still going to be okay. Those are the things that you have to be incorporating. Those are the things you have to be putting in. And that you're going to make this so much easier for them than they are going to be trying to do it on their own. If you do all that, if you put all those things in place, now you're going to end up with clients. Now you're going to end up in a situation where you are starting a business. You have things going. Now, with all those things being said, I covered a lot of ground in basically under half an hour. And I covered a lot of things. I understand that is a lot, that is a lot of things. And I want you to understand you don't have to do everything in that speed, in that time frame. And there's going to be things in there that you're probably going to have questions about. You're probably going to be like, I'm not so sure if I know exactly what I'm doing in this area. Okay, understood. Perfectly understood. Now, you may need help, and that's why we have Design, Launch, Grow for you right here to help you, to guide you, to give you answers. But the thing that you need to keep in mind is, even though the speed isn't necessarily critical, the sequencing of what I just gave you today is. The things that you need to do is you need to do those things, and you need to do them in the right order. You need to do the right sequencing. You need to do the right steps in the right order. And if you do, you will eventually find success. I can promise you that. It will work if you do the right things in the right order. So if you can get the clarity, if you can get the visibility, and then you can start making the offers, you will be successful if people know how to engage with you. That will work. It is proven from time to time over the course of history to be a successful way of running a business. The things that you don't need are all the shiny offers, all the gimmicks, all the things that all the slick marketers are trying to sell you because it's going to be the magic button to make it all work. Usually it doesn't work out that way. What you need is a proven system, and that's what I've just given you. So those are the things that are critical. Those are the ways that you can achieve success. Those are the ways that you can actually get from zero to clients. You go from nothing to actually having a business that's started and off the ground. So hopefully that was helpful to you. Hopefully you got a lot out of that. Hopefully you took some notes and you kind of checked in with yourself to see where you are in that process. Because if you do, I think you'll be very glad. If you can focus on those things, you will be successful. Now, if you do need help with anything, we're always here for you at designlaunchgrow.com. Check us out sometime. Fill out an application. We'd love to have a conversation with you to get started with you and just talk to you. The conversation is free. It's more of just a fact-finding situation to find out of whether or not this makes sense. With all that being said, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I hope you found this very valuable, and I will see you again in the next episode.